Hello boxing fans, right now I'm going to talk about Derek Chisora versus basically nobody because he's been banned by the British Boxing Board of Control indefinitely. Now, there's a lot of things that has happened in boxing recently that's made boxing, in my opinion, a bit of a laughing stock. And I think this one is just another thing to add to the bank, take it to the bank because it's building up. Anyway, I'm just going to get into a quick thing that happened yesterday, and it's just basically about how it really hit home for me that boxing is in a real bad state right now. And I was basically walking up to work, because I walk up to work every day, as I'm lucky enough to live not too far away from where I work. And basically I saw this girl. I know she's more of an acquaintance, I don't really know her that well, and I just said hi to her, how you do. I've got a girlfriend anyway, so I'm not interested in her that way, but she's half decent. So anyway, I usually have liquid breakfast before I go to work, consisting of 2 energy drinks or a protein shake or something like that. But today I was early, so I thought, I'll go to this cafe she can come with, and I'll have a nice cooked breakfast, bit of egg, bacon, beans, the good stuff. And yeah, she sat down with me and we were just talking, and you can't be from Liverpool and not talk about the football. It's impossible, especially when you take into account that Liverpool played Everton this week and Liverpool won 3-0. It's going to pop up in conversation pretty much anywhere you go. The shops, the gym, work, anywhere you go is going to pop up. And like this happened, it popped up and she was going to me, did you watch the match? I said, yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan, I don't mind. And I was like, yeah, it was a good match, but I'm not as big as a fan as I used to be. In fact, football's not even my favourite sport anymore. And at this point, this is the point of the whole story, by the way, boxing fans, every single die-hard boxing fan has got this response, and it's not as much as the response, it's more of the look they give you. I said to her, it's not my favourite sport anymore, and to which she replied, oh really, what sport do you like? And when I replied, I really like boxing, the look on her face, the look on her face was something only a die-hard boxing fan understands. It was as if, it's a universal look, by the way, everyone gets this look from no matter where you are, Timbuktu, England, Jamaica, USA, I don't care, everyone gets this. And the look was as if I just shat all over her face by saying I like boxing. And I can totally understand why, and I've got to say I'm totally not surprised, because the double standards, the match fixing, just the political bias, even some of the fans are just morons. So I'm totally not surprised that we get this look sometimes. It's just, I'm hoping that I don't get it. Back to the main video anyway, and obviously this is about Dereck Chisora, and let me firstly say well done to the British Boxing Board of Control, because you've totally bottled it. You've successfully demonised Dereck Chisora, a guy who's putting excitement back into the heavyweight division. As good as the Klitschko's are, they couldn't sell water to the Arabs. Well, if you don't like that analogy, how about they couldn't sell oil to the West? That's an even better one in my opinion. Boxing needs characters right now more than ever, and by kicking out all the characters, what's going to be left? A bunch of boring guys, yeah? Because the Klitschko's are never going to be exciting. Unfortunately, they're not going to ever be exciting because they have no intention of changing their style because it's winning. Don't break, don't fix what's not broke, right? So they're never going to change. So at least by having other people in the division who are exciting will actually bring more money to the division, in theory at least, bring more excitement to the division anyway. And another thing I'm going to point out is we all know that the Klitschko's had something to do with what's happened. Basically, they were the ones who were pushing for the lifetime ban. They were the ones who were talking about lifetime bans. This was even before Jose Sulaiman decided to dick around, being a dictator that he is. So they've got it all in them. They don't like Chisora. Chisora's exciting. He's got a personality. And he follows it up in the ring. He actually gives it his best. When you are a champion like Vladimir Klitschko or even Vitaly Klitschko, and as good as boxers you are, and you are probably the best 2 boxers that we've had in a very long time. If you're not exciting, you're not exciting, and Derek's going to be taking the limelight from them, and they don't like that. That's where it comes down to, plain and simple, in my opinion. So thanks for this then, the British Boxing Board of Control, and I'm going to make a quick shout out to the WBC as well, being dictator Jose Sulaiman in charge. So I'm going to say a few of the people that I think deserve banning. As we know, we're banning Dereck Chisora for what he did, being the slap, the spit. Only one of those things was bad in my opinion. The slap, seen worse. I'll show you in a bit. Right, the spit, yeah, disgusting. Give him a 3-game ban or something for that. Give him a 3-match ban, sorted. Right, and the afterwards, I don't think he actually did anything particularly wrong. I'll go into that a bit later as well. I'm going to move on to this now. So British Boxing Board of Control, I assume Kevin Mitchell, aka British lightweight contender, will be banned for some period of time. For being arrested. He cannot leave the country for being caught with a cannabis farm growing in his house. His mum and him both arrested. Obviously, what happened? No ban. Antonio Margarito attempted to use plaster of Paris on his hands, on his hand wraps, make himself hit exceptionally harder. It's literally GBH basically if he gets in the ring with that. Did he get in trouble with the police? No. Did he get banned? I think he got some kind of a ban, but it wasn't a lifetime ban. And funny enough, Antonio Margarito then went on to fight for the WBC light middleweight title. So brilliant, Jose Sulaiman. You're a total dick. Any dictator. Any coincidence that they're both Mexican? I think so. There's another one. Orlando Salido. We know he's used steroids. Fact. And what did he use? Nandrolone. What is that? It's a steroid of choice for real athletes out there. So don't get your head twisted around it. Why do people say it's not a steroid if you didn't take it? Because it can grow naturally in your body. Yes, it can, but only in very minute amounts. The amount he had in his system was well over the recommended amount for just natural in his body. Meaning it must have been an outside source that brought it into his body. So he can't talk really. How long was he banned for, if at all? I don't think he was banned at all. Moving on to Ricardo Mayorga, aka the Crazies. What's he done? He slapped Fernando Vargas. What's the difference? I don't think there is one in this case. In fact, he's got case after case after case of this. And has he ever been banned? I don't know. There's another one, Eric Morales against Marco Antonio Barrera, pre-fight punch-up. They actually traded punches, whereas if you look at the Dereck Chisora video, Dereck Chisora didn't land a punch on Hay. He was more embarrassed by the fact that he'd almost got knocked the fuck out by David Hay, which is not something to get done really if you want to be a heavyweight name. Anyway, Riddick Bowe, Larry Donald, punch up, more action than in the actual fight. And obviously, there was more action than in the Chisora Hay fiasco. In fact, I'm sure Riddick Bowe's actually been involved in 2 or 3 different incidents outside of the ring. He's never been brought up on that, has he? Oh, but here's my favourite one, guys. This is my favourite. I'm not joking, right? Saul Alvarez beats up 108-pound Jorge Solis in a street fight, breaks the guy's jaw for chatting up his girlfriend, right? Now, how is that not worthy of the WBC an intervention? Saying you're not having that title because we're taking that title back because you're a dick outside the ring. It's true, and they're trying to pin this on Alvarez right now, and they're doing very well. Alvarez is trying to pass it on to one of his brothers and saying, look, if you take the rap for this, I'll give you a large sum of money. And right now, it doesn't look like it's going to work for Alvarez. But no one's still taking his belt off him, banning him for life. No one's doing anything like that for him, are they? Another one, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Squeaky clean, right? How about DUI? Possible steroid use? You got to think about this, Is he okay to still fight? Of course he is. And of course, the other one, the most infamous of all, Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. Now, both of these guys have had numerous fights outside of the ring, and these two together traded punches. Mike was biting people's legs. Jose Sulaiman, the dictator of the WBC, got injured in this brawl, but he didn't ban anyone for life. So, where's the justice in that? Right, anyway, now I'm just going to open up the floor to some of the people who comment on my videos. And basically, I'm going to read out some of the real boxing talk that we have on this subject. And these are just some of the comments, messages that I've had about this. And I just want everyone to know, I'm not going to say the person's name just in case you don't want me to, but this is what I've just copied and pasted off my thing onto me script. So this is what it is, This is what people are really thinking, Okay, so the first comment that I'm going to read out it's basically, what the fuck is going on here? I don't mind them fining Chisora, but come on. WBC are fucking huge hypocrites. Tyson bites Lewis, no ban. Tyson says he'd eat Lewis's unborn children, no ban. Tyson and his racist shit, no ban. Then we have Mayweather, who does as he pleases, no ban. Chavez Jr. too. Johnny Nelson said it's different because this was seen all around the world, and he's basically saying Chisora is better known than Tyson and Mayweather, etc. Lol. Oh yeah, and the Klitschko brothers have stated they have no interest in fighting British opposition in the future. Very convenient that as Price, Fury, Chisora look real big dangers to Wladimir, and Hay looks a dead set to have too much speed for Vitali right now. Reckon they want to go back to fighting old pumped up cruiserweight. Good luck, Mormek. Okay, the next comment reads, it's bollocks, feel sorry for Del Boy. I thought the slap was genius. The spit, well, it was just water, but I don't think I could have just stood there like Wad did. And what a fight. It was great with Vitali, the best WC I've had in ages for a heavyweight division. The fight with Hay and Del Boy didn't throw a punch. He was too busy preventing Hay from knocking him out as he fell to the floor. If you ask me, the fine he already got and the humiliation of Hay's fists was enough. Hay must be loved in Germany right now. Next one, okay. So, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. can refuse drug tests and not fight is mandatory and still be the champion, but Derek Chisora, the prize fighter, is banned for getting into a fight. And yeah, that's basically all you can say about that, isn't it? That one's spot on in my opinion. I'm going to do one more, I think. Or maybe two more. I can't excuse any of Chisora's behaviour, but the ban is a total joke and loses any credibility coming from the WBC. They could probably find Chavez Jr. in a hotel room full of dead hookers and £10 worth of blow, and he wouldn't get stripped of his title. Chisora already got a deserving punishment anyway, which was a fucking bottle to the face. That and a fine would have been sufficient. This is the last one I'm going to read out, and I think this is a good one to end the whole video on, really. And it basically reads, I wonder if the WBC will investigate as to why the scorecards are not read out to the audience after 8 completed rounds. How about the pre-fight when Wladimir entered Chisora's dressing room and complained about the taping on Chisora's hands? I keep hearing about the Klitschko brothers calling people unsporting and how they have no respect for fighters as men. Why does their interfering, provocative behaviour pre-fight go unpunished? They're the most intensely disliked heavyweight champions of all time, and that's for a reason. I'm just going to end it on this now, and what we found out this week is basically drug cheats, you know, serve a lot less time than unsportsmanlike people. So maybe I think we need to. Yeah, how would you handle this situation? What would have you done if you were in charge of this situation? Who would have you banned, fined, or whatever?